Welcome to my channel. Football has always been more than just a game. It is a collision of identities, ambitions, and belief. Every match tells a story, but some stories carry a tension that feels different. A tension built on imbalance, expectation, and the possibility of something unexpected. Today, we're looking at a match that perfectly represents that tension. On one side, a giant accustomed to winning, controlling, and dominating. On the other, a team stepping into the spotlight with courage, aware of the odds, yet unwilling to step back. This is not just another fixture. This is a question waiting to be answered. Can Espanyol truly challenge Madrid? Or will this end in a brutal reminder of the gap between them? Let's go deeper. From the very beginning, matches like this are shaped by perception. Before the players even step onto the pitch, narratives are already written. Analysts predict dominance. Fans expect goals. The spotlight shines almost entirely on one side. That side, of course, is Real Madrid. Madrid represents consistency at the highest level. They are not just expected to win, they are expected to control how they win. Their structure, their confidence, and their experience make them one of the most difficult teams to disrupt. But perception can be misleading, because football does not always follow expectation. And that's where Espanyol enters the story. Espanyol comes into this match with a completely different energy. There's no overwhelming pressure. There's no demand for dominance. Instead, there is opportunity. The opportunity to shock, to resist, to disrupt. And sometimes, that kind of freedom can be more powerful than expectation. When a team plays without fear, their decisions change. They become quicker to act, more willing to take risks, and more unpredictable in their movement. This unpredictability is exactly what can make life difficult for a team like Madrid, because Madrid thrives on control, and anything that disrupts control creates discomfort. Let's talk about control for a moment. Madrid's entire approach is built around dictating the rhythm of the game. They move the ball with precision, stretch the pitch, and wait for spaces to appear. It's a calculated system, one that relies on patience, intelligence, and technical superiority. But control is fragile. It depends on rhythm, it depends on flow, and most importantly, it depends on cooperation from the opponent. If Espanyol refuses to cooperate, if they break the rhythm, slow the tempo, and close spaces, suddenly the game becomes something else entirely. It becomes messy, and messy games are dangerous for favorites. One of the key elements in this match will be how Espanyol chooses to defend. They are unlikely to press high constantly. That would be too risky against a team that can punish small mistakes instantly. Instead, they will likely stay compact, close the central areas, and force Madrid wide. This creates a different kind of challenge. Madrid will still have the ball, but possession alone does not win games. They will need penetration. They will need creativity. And most importantly, they will need patience, because the longer they fail to break through, the more pressure builds, not just physically, but mentally. And this is where the psychological battle begins. Madrid is used to scoring, used to controlling, used to leading. But what happens when none of those things come easily? What happens when chances are missed? When shots are blocked? When time starts to pass without a breakthrough? That's when frustration enters. And frustration is the enemy of control. For Espanyol, the objective is clear. Stay alive in the game. Not necessarily dominate. Not necessarily outplay. Just stay in it. Because every minute that passes without Madrid scoring increases belief. At 10 minutes, it's normal. At 30 minutes, it's interesting. At halftime, it becomes pressure. And if it's still level late in the game, now it becomes fear. Not for Espanyol, but for Madrid. Moments define matches. And in a game like this, moments are everything. A single mistake, a single counterattack, a single set piece. These are the situations where underdogs find opportunity. Espanyol does not need to create 10 chances. They need one moment executed perfectly. And if that moment comes, everything changes. Let's imagine that scenario. The game is tight. Madrid is pushing forward. Fullbacks are high. Midfield is advanced. The pressure is constant. Then suddenly, a turnover. Espanyol breaks forward quickly. 3 passes. A run behind the defense. A shot. Goal. In that instant, the entire dynamic shifts. The crowd reacts. Madrid feels urgency. Espanyol gains belief. And the game transforms from controlled to chaotic. Chaos is where surprises are born, because chaos removes predictability. It removes structure. It forces players to react instead of plan. And when that happens, the gap in quality becomes less important than the ability to adapt. Espanyol's hope lies in creating that chaos. Madrid's mission is to avoid it. Another critical factor in this match is efficiency. Madrid may create more chances. That is expected. But if they fail to convert those chances, the game becomes increasingly dangerous for them. Football has a way of punishing wastefulness. Missed opportunities don't just disappear. They build pressure. They create doubt. And doubt can spread quickly in high-stakes matches. On the other hand, Espanyol must be ruthless. If they get a chance, they must take it. Because against a team like Madrid, opportunities are rare. And wasted opportunities are often not forgiven. Let's also consider the role of individual performances. In matches like this, tactics matter, but individuals can decide everything. A moment of brilliance, a perfectly timed run, an unstoppable shot. Madrid has players capable of producing magic at any second. That's what makes them so dangerous. They don't always need perfect team play. Sometimes one moment is enough. But individual brilliance works both ways. For Espanyol, a standout defensive performance can be just as impactful as a goal. A defender making crucial interceptions, a goalkeeper producing key saves, a midfielder breaking up attacks consistently. These contributions don't always make headlines, but they shape the outcome of the match. As the game progresses, fatigue will also play a role. Defending deep for long periods requires discipline and energy. Concentration must remain high. One lapse in focus can undo everything. This is where Madrid often finds success, late in games, when opponents begin to tire. And this is where Espanyol must be strongest, because surviving early pressure is one thing. Surviving until the final whistle is something else entirely. On the other hand, Espanyol must be ruthless. If they get a chance, they must take it, because against a team like Madrid, opportunities are rare, and wasted opportunities are often not forgiven. Let's also consider the role of individual performances. In matches like this, tactics matter, but individuals can decide everything. A moment of brilliance, a perfectly timed run, an unstoppable shot. Madrid has players capable of producing magic at any second. That's what makes them so dangerous. They don't always need perfect team play. Sometimes one moment is enough. But individual brilliance works both ways. For Espanyol, a standout defensive performance can be just as impactful as a goal. A defender making crucial interceptions, a goalkeeper producing key saves, a midfielder breaking up attacks consistently. These contributions don't always make headlines, but they shape the outcome of the match. As the game progresses, fatigue will also play a role. Defending deep for long periods requires discipline and energy. Concentration must remain high. One lapse in focus can undo everything. This is where Madrid often finds success, late in games, when opponents begin to tire. And this is where Espanyol must be strongest, because surviving early pressure is one thing. Surviving until the final whistle is something else entirely. Now, let's return to the central question. What does this match truly represent? It represents the contrast between expectation and belief. Madrid carries expectation. Espanyol carries belief. Expectation demands results. Belief creates possibility. And football, at its core, is a game where possibility can challenge expectation. If Madrid performs at their highest level, the outcome may seem inevitable. Their quality, experience, and structure can overwhelm almost any opponent. In that scenario, the game becomes controlled, efficient, and decisive. That is the path to dominance. But if Espanyol disrupts the rhythm, stays organized, and takes their moment, then we're looking at something entirely different. A match filled with tension. A match driven by uncertainty. A match where every second matters. That is the path to surprise. And then there is the third possibility: collapse. Not because Espanyol lacks effort, not because they lack courage, but because sometimes the level of the opponent is simply too high. If Madrid scores early and and gains confidence, the game could open up quickly. Spaces will appear, pressure will increase, and suddenly, what began as a hopeful challenge turns into a difficult night. This is the reality of football at the highest level. The margin between surprise and collapse is incredibly small. It can be decided by one moment, one decision, one mistake. And that is why this match is so compelling, because it sits right on that edge, that thin line between possibility and reality, between courage and consequence. As fans, this is what we wait for. Not just goals, not just victories, but moments where the unexpected feels possible, where the underdog stands firm, where the favorite is tested, where the story is not decided until the final whistle. So as the players walk onto the pitch, remember this: the result may seem predictable, but football rarely follows scripts. And in a game like this, all it takes is one moment to change everything. Will Espanyol rise to the occasion and deliver a shock that no one saw coming? Or will Madrid remind everyone why they are one of the most dominant forces in football? We are about to find out. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next analysis. Share your thoughts in the comments. What's your prediction for this match? Surprise or collapse? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.